let's move forward towards the lookup function. And the lookup function, the previous functions were slightly not very difficult. Maybe if or multiple ifs are a bit difficult to understand. But this one is perhaps one of the most powerful and most widely used functions. And yet, this is a bit complex, so people usually find it difficult to understand. So what we want to do here is we have two data sets. We have employees and we have departments. So basically what we want to do is we want to find the department of each of these employees. How can we achieve that? So basically, let's say we have, this is just a small example, but there are usually thousands of values. So how can we bring up the departments automatically? Okay, so we can use a function that's called VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is for vertical lookup, like it looks up a value in a column. Okay, and what we do is VLOOKUP has three values, three parameters required. So the first one is search key. Search key means that the value through which we want to find. And in this case, you can see that both of these data sets have one thing in common, and that is the employee ID. So we can use the employee ID to trace the department of Alice, and similarly for Bob and for Charlie. For each of the employee ID, we can find the department. So we can click on this value. The second option is the range. And the thing about range in this case is that range will always be more than one columns, like one column which contains our key and the other column which contains some value that we want to find. So for example, in this case, we have just two columns. So we want to use the first column to find the value of the second column. So I'm going to select at least two columns and make sure that the first column that I select always contains the key. So basically, what I can't do is I can't, let's say, before, let's say we have some other data here, for example, father name over here, and it has certain values. So when using VLOOKUP, I use the search key, comma, I can't do it like this. I cannot select father name. I will have to select the column that has the search key. I will have to select it always on the number one. And then in the third option, I need to specify the column in which I want to find, from which I want to get a return value. So basically, in this case, that is the second column. And what people usually get confused about this is they are usually confused by the labels, the column labels. So basically, I'm getting the value from the fifth column, column E. But here in my range, this is the second column. So my selection has just two columns, and I am selecting the second column. So for that, I will have to specify the value 2 here. Okay, and I press enter, and it tells me that 101 is from HR department. Okay, what if I have another column over here, and this time I have to, now what I'm doing is I have selected 3 columns. First column contains my ID, and the number 2 actually means this black column. So now I have to specify 3. So that gives me the correct value. And now when I drag the value down, I have to be careful about making sure that this does not change. So I have to make it absolute. And now I can drag it down to get the values of all of these, all the names. Okay. Another thing that I can do here is, let's say I have a number over here, and I want to look up the department or the name of that person. So let's say I want to get the name of this person, and I can use VLOOKUP like this, and I can select the two columns over here. Sorry, the first item is the ID, and then the two columns, and then I want the name which is in the second column. So I can write it like this and press enter. And similarly, I can also get the department of each person. So I can again use the lookup, and the search key is 101, comma, and this now I'm selecting three columns. So the department is from third column, and I can close this. So now it tells me HR. So enter ID here, and it returns the name and the department. So if I change it, for example, 1 or 2, so it automatically changes the other values to Bob and to his department, which is finance. Similarly, I can write 1 or 3 and get their name. So I can either use make a search function that returns the data of all the employees or all any number of columns that I have, or I can use it to match the values between the two columns. So basically, this is just I am putting it here just for the purpose of example. But in actual work, most of the time these values are in a different sheet. So we can bring the values from that sheet to over here. Okay, so to do that, let's add another sheet and move these values over here. So this is sheet 12. Let's name it data. And let's delete this formula to see how we can get the values from the other columns. So now from the other sheets. Now I use VLOOKUP. Search key is my employee ID. I press comma. And now look what happens here when I move to the other sheet and select the data. So this time it is not only giving me the cell addresses, but it is also adding an exclamation mark, and before that the name of the sheet. Okay, so what if there was a space in this name? So let's say we add employee data here. Okay, so now I am gonna add VLOOKUP. My search key is this, and this is the data. So now, since there is a space in the sheet name, so what it has done is it has added single quotation marks to make sure that the name is treated as a string basically. So now you see that the address is a bit complex. It has 4 parts. One is the sheet name, then it is the exclamation mark, and then it is the range in which we are looking up the values. Okay, so whenever you reference one thing in another sheet, so you will see the references like this. Okay, and now we have the data in 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth column, and fourth value is not required, that's optional. So what it did wrong is I selected the first column over here, and you see that it returned, it said that 101 is not present in the first column. So what I need to do is I need to select B1 to D6, and I need to select the third column. So now it is returning the correct value. And it says that we need to make sure that the formulas are not changing. So one way of doing this is, since we have no other data on the sheet, all of the rows have the same kind of data, so we can select the entire column. So B to D. When I move here with this formula, Let's try to remove this and then check again. So when I select these columns like this, so instead of B1 through D500 or whatever, what it is doing is it is selecting the entire column. So that makes things easier to manage, and we don't have to worry about when we move the formulas down. So the values still remain within B and D, so that doesn't change. Okay, so here it is. This is our VLOOKUP formula.